Alrighty, welcome back, everybody, to Motor City Realists. I don't even know what episode we're on. It's Mike and Zach back after a short, long, however you want to say it, hiatus. And in that time, I want to check on you, Mike, because your son seemed to have figured out how to use your phone to the point where he's posting himself on Snapchat. And your Buckeyes took a tough loss to Michigan. So just wondering, where's your mental health at?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Michigan Buckeyes game here, but the sun got me in a little bit of trouble because Wednesdays I'm home while my wife is working, and we usually go up. I lay him down for nap time. I usually watch TV. Well, this just happened to be old dad fell asleep, and old son stayed awake, and the only reason I have Snapchat is because my wife sends me stuff with the kids and stuff like that. When I'm at work and stuff like that. I don't know how. I'll have to post it. I'm not a TikTok guy, but I thought this would be like my first good TikTok video. But I mean, literally, he's just video, and he posted it to my story. He's literally videoing himself, like saying, like giggling, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, say cheese," and he like puts the camera on me, and I'm just passed out. So, yes, I got lots of messages, lots of flack for that. My wife wasn't very happy, but yes, that's what a soon to be 3-year-old you get to look forward to. But like I said, we'll talk about the Buckeyes in Michigan. But how's things been for you? Like you said, we've been off for a little bit. We took some holiday time. I think we both kind of had we had a lot going on, but we were both like, man, let's ride this win wave. Maybe take a few episodes off, continue to win. Going to talk heavy about the Lions like we usually do. But what you been up to over there in Tampa? Did you come home for the holidays?
Yeah, so like you said, we had we took the holiday break. I went to Memphis to hang out with the fam for that week. I think the week before that we were both sick. I don't know if we put that update on Twitter. That's why we missed that week. But no, man. Other than that, haven't been up to much. Couple Bolts games here and there. I've got coming up. I'm pretty excited about the Bucks playing Monday night, and so we'll be going to that. It's a home game against the Saints, and then right after that, the Bolts on Tuesday they host the Wings. So I will be at that game, get to see the Wings for the first time this season live. That'll be fun. So yeah, just got that coming up. But no, man, I'm excited to be back. Glad to be back on the show. We got a lot of catching up to do. Got up to 4 wins now for the Lions, and I know early on we said something like 8 and 9 or whatever that comes out to be, 9 and 8. Then I shifted down drastically to 2 and 14, or what is it? 2 would be 2 and 15. But here we are, 4 wins. So
yeah, like you said, a lot's changed. I mean, basically the last 5 games, we're 3 and 2. I'm obviously I'm gonna go back to the Miami game, but basically those 2 losses, Miami and Buffalo. They are not losses. I mean, they're losses that you probably would expect, basically where we are with the organization. But you compile those two losses, and we've lost those two losses combined 7 points, and both those teams are going to make the playoffs. One's a heavy Super Bowl favorite, if not. But basically, what was your thought going into Thanksgiving? Was Thanksgiving different to you, or was there that slight feeling that, oh, we're on a hot streak, we should hang with the Bills, probably expect to lose, or did you just say, oh, because we're on a hot streak, it's just going to be like Thanksgiving, we're going to get blown out?
I kind of, it was almost exactly like what you first said, where, you know, we're riding a hot streak. It's still the Bills. We're still going to lose, but we should put up a fight. You know, it turned out to be kind of at least what I expected. What were your feelings going into? Well, I mean, also I want to say going into the Thanksgiving game, biggest thing was I'm expecting a loss here with the Bills, but the rest of our schedule looks very winnable. So
yes,
it was promising to me to see us put up a fight against the Bills. But what was your feeling going into Thanksgiving?
I mean, that would have been a huge win. I wasn't expecting it. I'm just glad that we were competitive and very, I mean, rightfully so. Outside, you know, you hate to see Von Miller go down for them. That was a big, you know, big momentum swing. What's that?
That he went down.
Oh yeah, turf. Yeah, we've talked about that. But you know, I was elated. I told my brother-in-law, I said, "This is, you know, we'll get into it." Me being a Buckeye fan, I know it's a little different, you know, for some of the Michigan fans, but we'll talk about that. But this is one of the few times that a Detroit Lions loss brought me more joy than an Ohio State loss. Like I felt better about the Detroit Lions than I did the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, that's probably the first time in I don't know how many years, but I thought we played great. Again, you know, we missed a field goal. That's on the player. I think Campbell is finally starting to figure it out, because every time I feel like I should look how many games. I feel like every opening drive we just go right down the field. We get into the red zone, and then it gets to 4th and 1, and we decide, oh, are we gonna go for it, or are we gonna start kicking field goals? And we start kicking field goals, and I think the past 2 games that's played us well. You know, granted, like I said, we missed a field goal this last game with the Bills, and that came back to haunt us. But overall, I think Campbell's starting to figure things out. There's a lot of time management, you know, that I still think we need to figure out. That you know, to fast forward, I felt like we were in position to win that game. You know, when there was, you know, so many seconds left, I said, it's the Bills. I said they're going to be able to drain the clock, and they're going to get it in there. And 2 passes later, you know, they're driving. But I felt like that game was played and managed well until the very end, where I felt like they were playing for the field goal as opposed to the touchdown at the end. I felt like they were happy with the field goal, knowing that, hey, we're going to go up 3. You know, the Bills have to drive the field, but with the Bills' offensive firepower. I mean, I had Stephon Diggs in my fantasy league, and I'm like, man, this is bittersweet. You know, Diggs is getting shut down, and then literally the last drive, he just explodes for like 20 points, you know, fantasy-wise. So overall, happy with, I shouldn't say the outcome, but happy with the game. But wow, man, that would have been amazing to go undefeated in November. You know, setting up our matchup with Jacksonville this upcoming week with a banged up ETN. You know, another 4-7 team. But yeah, I was just happy we didn't get blown out, and we looked good on national TV, because we didn't have any national games this year. So hopefully that helps out a little bit going forward. Yeah,
I mean, touching on the end there, like you said, it probably should have been managed a little bit better. We probably could have won that game, but you know, at the end of the day, going into, you know, if you compare the beginning of the day and the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, you don't think you're going to win the game. You just want to play a tough game. As a fan, you know, as a player, obviously you want to win the game. You go out there, players, coaches, the whole team. They go out there and they want to win. But as a realistic Detroit fan, you just want a tough game, and that's what we got. But I want to go back quickly because we've missed a couple games, and I want to touch on the Bears game and I really want to hear your thoughts on the fourth quarter of this game, because I think I texted you. I was flying at the time, and yeah. I'm boarding my flight and we're down. I don't remember, but it's multiple possessions, I think, and then I land and I see that we won by 1. And yeah, obviously I'm looking through the scoring summary, and I see we had an interception return for a touchdown. But I mean, what happened in the fourth quarter of that game? You remember?
I mean,
I know
was
so
that
long ago. We had like an interception
I know,
return.
I'm trying to string it together because that would have been. Was that? Hold on, let me bring it up. Yeah, this is bad looking at it because I just.
And we did
Oh yeah, because we had that was the Okuda. Okuda had a pick six and kind of switched, the chains. Basically, Justin Fields just ran wild on us. That was basically all that happened that entire game. Justin Fields just did what he wanted. I watched Jalen Hurts on Monday Night Football this week, and it kind of reminded me of that. Like these guys that can just put their foot down and you got every defensive player running down the field with their back to the quarterback, and these guys are just taking off. That's what Fields did. But Okuda got that pick six. That was a big game for him. Okuda ended up having a concussion, so he missed most of the Giants game and Buffalo game. But basically, that was a big turning point there. We got some nice possessions, and basically, I mean, like I said, that was a 31-31 by one. The Giants, we won 31-18. So we've been putting up some points. Basically, that was the turning point. It was just that pick six because that game was kind of all over the place. At one point, I was like, there ain't no way in hell we're going to lose to not just the Bears, but Justin Fields, So, but yeah, you had text me because you pretty much kind of wrote it off, and you're like, holy cow. So,
yeah,
that was pretty much, the defense and Okuda, which I think we've kind of touched on it, since Pleasant's been let go, whether it was his fault or not, you don't want to blame one person. I feel like the defense is banded together. There's not any huge firepower. I mean, you're getting a lot of production out of these rookies, these good guys. So there's a lot of excitement, but I mean, they're playing better. So it's weird. So I don't have outside of that pick six, back in Chicago, I don't necessarily know that there was one thing that really changed the things, but then we went into the Giants, and we were talking, I don't know if you had a chance to watch that game, but I just felt like, okay, the Giants didn't have anybody. We just shut down Saquon Barkley. I felt like for whatever reason it was, Kenny Golladay was just going to torch us. I felt like Golladay was going to go for like 10 catches, 160 yards, and it was just going to be like, you got to be kidding me. But overall, great game. What and this is, I know I'm kind of stringing everything together here, but the portions that you have watched, one thing I've been really surprised about is our team is like laying the wood. Like when they're hitting people, like most of our injuries are friendly fire. Like Okuda, he's gotten some stingers. He had a concussion. I mean, these guys are laying the wood, and they're kind of knocking each other out. It's kind of nice to see this grit. I feel like this is where kind of Dan Campbell comes from. The guys are buying in. But I mean, have you noticed more of like a tenacious, just a different style, different demeanor on defense?
Yeah, the biggest intangible to me that I've noticed is that Lions teams in the past would get dejected and would get frustrated and demotivated very quickly in a game. One or two things happen and heads are hanging. We're calling this a loss at the end of the first quarter.
I feel like I feel like if we're down now, we're not like we don't feel like we're out of it.
Right. Yeah. I see a lot more fight, a lot more a 4 quarters football team out of this squad, which is good. And like you said, I think that comes from Dan Campbell. That's the whole grit thing, and we were getting tired of it through the first couple of weeks of him talking about this grit and passion and all that and not getting any results, but it's a time thing and they're coming through now. But another thing I want to touch on, because we said we were going to look for this in the Bears game, the touches between Swift and Williams, and because you brought up the Giants game,
we were talking about turf to grass, yes,
yeah, and you were talking about the Giants game, and that was the Jamal Williams 3 touchdown game, which was huge. But it's been consistent ever since you mentioned that. It was like 16 carries for Williams to 6 for Swift in that Chicago game. And then the next game, it was like 17-5 for Williams in the Giants game. And then the Thanksgiving, same thing, 17-6 or 17-5, something like that. So, I mean, do you think Swift just doesn't have that grit in him? Is that why they're not giving him touches? Or do you think Williams is just the better back?
I mean, you can't not say that Williams is the better back this year by far. But either way, the thing that I don't understand is, early in the season, what I like about Deuce Staley is like Swift has been banged up in past. Swift, maybe he can play through his injury. So Deuce pretty much called him and said, hey, there's a difference between hurt and banged up. You need to play through this. So I don't know if this is, Swift not being 100% and saying, hey, I can play, and they're watching his reps, because I feel like every time we get down to the goal line, if we're within the 5, obviously you're looking at Williams pounded in. But if we're within, as soon as we get in the red zone, there's a few plays that Swift's in. He's going to run that crossing or that option route over the middle. That's kind of where he's been his bread and butter. He's got 2 touchdowns doing that. That's basically fantasy wise. He's pretty much saved all of his fantasy owners, because he's carrying the ball 5 times, but he gets 1 catch for a touchdown. So he's getting there. But I do see some explosion out of him still. I see that is the one thing that it's so easy to. Me particularly to write him off and be like, man, I'm just so frustrated with the whole situation. But when he does get the ball in space, it is still very, very scary. But I don't know what's behind it. And that's what I don't get. I feel like from what I hear, he's been open to it. He says, I'm here to wherever you guys need me. But, these are – I know Williams was signed on, I believe, a 2-year deal. So there's no way in hell you let Williams get out of this franchise, because he's kind of the spark plug. He's the leader. Obviously I want to see Swift hang around. There's no need for us to put ourselves in a situation where we need to bring some backs in. But yeah, I don't know if the turf, we talked about Von Miller, there's players continuing to say that everyone needs to go to grass, but I don't know.
Even good old Kelly Stafford piped up.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, she's very big. There's a whole discussion there as far as whether they're going to shut down Matthew Stafford. But I don't know. Kevin, right here, we're live on YouTube for those.
I like this theory.
What's that?
I like this theory that Kev's got here.
Well, I know, Campbell's very blue collar. So one of the comments here is, could he be too flashy for Campbell? Dan seems like kind of guy who wants you to get 10 yards dragging 3 guys instead of 20 juking and spinning all over the place. It could be another theory, but I feel like there's a lot of things that play within the Lions organization this year. I mean, I know they're high on the guy, speed and talent. You can't coach that. They're gushing over Jameson Williams right now. His first practice, Goff came out and said he's very, very, very fast, and they emphasized him saying very 3 times. My concern is does Goff have the arm to throw to a guy like Jameson Williams? So, but yeah, I that's what I can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around the Swift situation. What's your take on it? What are you thinking? Is it they trying to ease somebody back, or is it just kind of what's working right now, so we're going to ride it?
I will say for me, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've just turned into a big Jamal Williams guy. I love this guy.
Think America has. Yeah. You got to.
Like and if it's a point where it just makes more sense for the organization to send Swift somewhere because he's not willing to back up Jamal Williams, I'm 100% okay with that, because I will ride or die with Jamal Williams. Yeah. His production obviously speaks for itself, but I just love the guy. I love his bounce. I love his effort. And when Jameson Williams comes back, I just love how people, broadcasters and everybody are going to be confused between calling Jameson Williams and Jamal Williams all game long. That's what I'm looking forward to.
But yeah, that's going to be the first time in I don't know how many years that you're going to see number 9, one of the fastest people on the field. But no, it's exciting. I don't think there's any animosity or anything like that. I think that's a good, player personnel group. I don't think Swift. I don't think Swift in his situation. I don't think he feels like he has to be the guy. I don't feel like he's like pressing to be the guy. I think maybe this kind of opens. This almost kind of reminds me. This very quickly escalated, kind of like the Zeke Tony Pollard situation where. Yeah. Zeke was the dude. Everybody knew what Pollard could bring to the table, and now you're seeing, this is kind of like roles reversed, where I'd say Williams is more like the Zeke guy, obviously. But, Tony Pollard has shown he's been more durable. Granted, he hasn't had, the starts like Swift has. So it's a good sprinkle here and there. I'm all for it as long as these guys are happy, because that's one of the things you don't want to get your studs to be aggravated or upset. But it's business, and I think people know that. Don't want to lose a guy like that because he definitely adds tons of value. And in going into the draft this year, I'm still very dead set on, especially after the Ohio State Michigan game and just watching CJ Stroud all season. Stroud is not the guy. I don't think his stock is tumbling by any means, but he's not the guy. I really don't think. I mean, everyone thinks that Bryce Young is pretty much the quarterback to take, but I don't. He's not going to be there for us. I'm still not high on him. Will Levis, whatever his name is, from Kentucky. I just don't think you take a quarterback with that pick. I'm still very strong on maybe Will Anderson or something like that defensive line. But either way, you stock up on the defense line. I was watching Woodward Sports today. I tell you what, right now, not to talk about another network, but those guys drive me freaking nuts. They are anti-Goff, which is totally fine because that's a different take from me. I'm not saying by any means he's amazing, but I think you can win with him, and I think you can win the Super Bowl. Their concept was you can win with him, but you can't win a Super Bowl, and it's been proven because he's with the Rams. Which, okay, that's fine. But they're saying, obviously they were talking about, one of their analysts was saying you got to go after. You have to do everything you possibly can to get Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore situation, it's crumbling. You got to bring him in. There's been those grumblings. I don't want Lamar. Don't get me wrong. He's a generational talent, but with Goff already making $30 million, Lamar Jackson's going to get paid. We got tons of cap. I get it, but I don't think that's going to solve the offensive issue because I don't think offensively right now is our issue. We got to focus on defense, do what we need to do. I know I always talk about Goff. I know you've seen different things, different concepts. And I don't know necessarily if I've ever really asked you. We've probably talked about it here and there, but what would you be okay with next year? Would you be okay with Goff in this offense for next year if we put the picks and everything on defense, or are you, hey, yeah, Goff's going to be here. Maybe he mentors somebody, but we need to bring somebody in now.
I think a few weeks ago, a couple episodes back, I said that I was hoping we could get a quarterback, and I was looking to replace Goff. But now as the season progresses, and we've got some wins, and I see how we're playing, and the tumble of Green Bay specifically in the division, and Chicago, not quite getting wins yet, and I think we're okay going another year with Goff. I'm okay with picking defense. I'm on your side there. I like that. But yeah, I'm gonna switch my tune on that because I know I mentioned Hendon Hooker. That was when Tennessee was still undefeated and hadn't played a whole lot of the bulk of the competition that they have played at this point now. And I don't think Hooker's the guy anymore. I agree with you. I don't think Stroud's the guy. Bryce Young could be going to be a little bit of a project, but I wanted to touch before we move on from the offense, the running backs, because we were talking about the running backs in Hard Knocks. I know you said you didn't watch all of Hard Knocks, but there was a big emphasis from Deuce Staley saying that Swift has that next level in him. He can be an elite running back, and he kept harping on this in Hard Knocks. And I think it lit a fire under Jamal Williams, and I think that's why he's playing as well as he's playing this year. He's like, so. Yeah, he's probably saying, why is he saying that about him, not about me? Let me go show him what's up. And so I think that I would like to think that had a lot to do with Jamal Williams' success, but who knows?
So like you said, we talked about a couple of different things. We'll go back to Buffalo quick, and then we'll transition out of here. Biggest play from that game, like I said, I feel like, we settled for a field goal. That's what we were playing for. We weren't playing for the touchdown towards the end. But what was your take? I know we talked about this off air. Your brother sent you a message. He had a take. What was your take on that 3rd and 1 where we fired that long ball to DJ Shark down the field where easily, the way we've been running the ball, we could easily pounded it out, got the first down, and continue to drive. But yet we air it out, and, it is kind of what it is. What was your take? Do you think that was a drawn-up play? Goff just saw something and said, let's go for it? Or do you think that's just Dan Campbell's inexperience they drawn up? Or do you – to me, I was sitting around with my family, and everyone's like, what the hell? Like, seriously, like, even me, like –
I remember in the moment thinking, like, this is just bad clock management, right? And I think it comes down to, like you said, Campbell just being an inexperienced coach. I don't think there probably should have never been a pass look on that play. Like that should have been option, double B, So,
like, I mean, he ran a deep route, so there had to be some kind of call, unless it was like an option route that he thought he was going to beat the. Because I felt like he kind of had a step on the guy, but it was a horrible throw.
Yeah, I feel like you just go up there and like your option is run the ball, right or left, and your second option is if you don't like the look, right to the other side, or put a guy in motion, run the ball. Like that, never in your hierarchy should there be throw the ball deep. So I don't know who to put the blame on, and I didn't analyze it closely enough to know who to put the blame on. But I agree, it was mismanaged. Could have gone to OT. Could have, who knows? You get a first down, play for a touchdown. I don't know. It's frustrating, but at least I knew when it happened, when we kicked the field goal. It's just like it's Josh Allen. He's gonna, he doesn't need a touchdown. All he needs to do is get in field goal range. This is a Lions secondary. It's nothing to write home about. It was frustrating, man. It was frustrating because we could have won that game, or we could have at least gone to OT and had a better chance to win the game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. The quick wrap up here is, I think Campbell's made tons of strides this year in his play calling, his management. There's still, as long as he's been in the NFL, I still think there's a lot for him to be said as far as game management, clock management, stuff like that. Different things. Maybe we need to get somebody to mentor him. I know that kind of sounds weird because I do love him as a coach, but he's still raw. I mean, I get that, but I feel like we've made leaps and bounds. Ben Johnson is he kind of petered out for a little bit, but he's starting to play, starting to make really good. I think the stuff he's designed is, I love it. Obviously Tony Romo called that game, and Tony Romo loves anything that's kind of out there or anything. It don't matter who he's rooting for, But yeah, I think we've made some great leaps. I always say, a lot to be excited about. Obviously, we're at 4 wins. I came on season, thought we would get 9-10 wins. I quickly backtracked that. You got down to 2 wins. But like you said, you look at the rest of the schedule. Like I said, we got Jacksonville this week. Before we transition to our Red Wings recap, I got to get a thought on you. It's a 1:00 game, Jacksonville. It's at home. We got Jacksonville, we got Minnesota, and then we got at the New York Jets, and then at Carolina. That'll be right before Christmas Day at Carolina. So Minnesota, going to be a tough game. New York is going to be a tough game. I know that they're having some issues right now, but that Mike White's played good. Carolina, I would like to think whatever quarterback they trot out there, we should win. But and I'm not saying we're must win because I don't think it's like playoff or bust this year. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Jacksonville, to keep the momentum, you got to win this game, right? You can't lose this game and kind of fall flat on your face going into Minnesota and New York, right?
Yeah, I agree. But I know we have this bad habit, the Lions, of making like Trevor Lawrence type guys, giving them their moment to shine. So I'm a little wary of that, but I fully expect a Lions dub in that game. I don't care if it has to be ugly. I don't care. I will take a dub any way you can get it. And then you go, like you talked about, you got Minnesota. We almost beat Minnesota the first time we played them. Now I know Minnesota's a much improved team, but I also think the Lions are a bit of an improved team. So to me, I think we can win. I wouldn't give us the edge, but I think we can win that Vikings game more times than most people think we can win it. And then, like you talked about, Jets, Mike White playing good, Zach Wilson benched. That could be a toss up. Maybe we'll get Ryan back on the show to talk about that, but
I figure
but I'm going back to, from where I sit now, I'm going back to 6 wins. 7 wins. I want to say 7, but I feel like one of those that we should win, we're going to drop. So 6 or 7, but I don't know, man. Because I'm just happy at this point in the season being second place in the division, And you almost would have thought that the Packers would have been in first, but
we're not. We definitely don't come out here and say we're analysts by any means. We definitely flip flop quite a bit, but we talk about how it is. But yes, looking forward to obviously the Jacksonville game this weekend. That's again not a must win, but you got to win that game, I guess. Yeah. Basically. So, but anyway, so obviously a lot's happened transitioning here into the Red Wings. We'll get our Zach Mack Red Wing lowdown here. Lots happened. We've been off for a little bit. Give us just a little breakdown. I keep track, obviously, but for the fans at home, what's happened in the past couple weeks with the Redwings? Obviously, they started hot tonight. They started off with a 1-0 lead early, but last you said I think they were losing 3-1. I haven't checked recently, but and I know every time you and I talk, we talk about, is this a playoff team? Is this not a playoff team? Where they're going. I feel like we're getting some guys back, getting healthy. But basically, what's the last? Give me the lowdown on the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, so real quick, 30 seconds. Last time we left off, they were going on their West Coast trip, and they dropped the first 2 of those, and then they beat the Sharks 7-4, which was nice. Nice to see the offense put that many pucks in the net.
Yes.
And that was the first of 4 wins in a row. So we went on a 4-game win streak. That was cool. And then we dropped our last game, our most recent game, which was to the Maple Leafs. 4-2. That was Monday night, I think. And currently right now down 4-1 at the end of the second to Buffalo. So looks like we're going to drop back-to-back games unless we pull out something in the third. But in that 4-game win streak, Ville Husso shut out the Preds, got his 3rd shutout of the season. He leads the league in shutouts. So that's good to see. I know we've I think almost every episode I've harped on goaltending. Yeah. So, that's promising. That it's been a roller coaster for the Wings, which on one hand is better than recent years where it's just been a nosedive the entire season and we're giving up 6 to 8 goals a game. At least we're putting win streaks in there now. We just got to look for some consistency. As far as being a playoff team, right now they hold the top wild card spot. So I'm going to agree with the standings and say we're a playoff team right now.
Teetering every week, we teeter. So, but yes, I saw obviously Bertuzzi those guys. Everybody. I guess I wouldn't say necessarily getting healthy, but I mean full strength.
Yep.
Basically, the past 3 weeks, I always ask you this. I ask you this week to week, but is there a player the past 3 weeks that has stood out to you? And again, I can always say, it could be the same guy you said the last week. I mean, are there a couple of players that you're just seeing that are really hitting their stride right now, playing where they need to be?
I'm going to give a shout out to Mo Seider because he got off the schneid, got a goal, and now he's got 2. So since we've been gone, he's got his first 2 goals this season. So it's good to see him getting back on the score sheet. The power play is getting a little bit better. The penalty kill has been phenomenal. And during the 4-game win streak, I believe they were perfect on the penalty kill. They might have given one up in the last game. I don't know, but at least going into that last game, they were perfect during the win streak. So I just love to see the defensive side. Also, the rookie Jonathan Berggren, he scored tonight. He got that first goal. That was his 2nd of the season. So some good things happening for the youngsters, which it's kind of easy to say for the Red Wings because I feel like they're all youngsters. But but no, it's good. And like I said, I got that game coming up Tuesday next week. So we'll probably for those of you that tune in live, we'll be on Wednesday again. Sorry about that. But yeah, I get to see the Wings live. I got a Mo Seider. That's why I'm shouting him out. I got a Mo Seider jersey in the mail, but it's not supposed to get here till the day after the game. So we're gonna keep our fingers crossed and hope the UPS can pull through. If not, I'll have to wear my Abdelkader jersey. That is
Abdelkader. I was gonna say tough time of the year for them to come through. So, but all right. So we got our Wings lowdown there. We'll just quickly touch on the Pistons. Obviously, we always want to touch on the Pistons. Not tons of excitement there. A lot of players banged up. The past 5 games were 3-2. The last win going back to Utah day before Thanksgiving. They lost to Phoenix, Cleveland. They got trounced by New York the other night. Basically, last I looked, they were pretty much even with New York. They were even leading for a little bit. They lost 110 to 140. Like I said, a lot of these guys banged up. We got the Mavericks December 1st, then Memphis, then Miami Heat. Again, we've talked about it. This is a young, raw team still trying to find their identity. They're putting some pieces in place. But these guys right now are just banged up. Bogdanovic is knee, I think, like that. I think he came back. Jaden Ivey's been taking his lumps. I don't even know what they decided on Cade. There's a good opportunity that he could have been shut down for the season with the shin. but overall, I mean, tons of there we go, Ryan, a longer engagement comment. There you go.
I said his name 5 minutes ago, and then he pops up.
Yep, there you go. We were talking about Ryan. For those of you listening to the podcast version, we're live on YouTube, so we would say comments. Ryan is our resident New York Jets expert here. We'll have to have him on in a couple weeks, jumping in our comments. But anyways, with the Pistons, a lot of bright spots. But this year, I wouldn't say it's a wash by any means, but no expectations there. We've compared. Lions, Wings, Pistons. I think there's more upside for the Wings, obviously, than the Lions there. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But
I want to throw a little bit of pressure on the Pistons for that. You talked about December 1st, which is tomorrow as we record. They're playing the Mavericks. It's actually the only NBA game on tomorrow. So hardcore basketball fans will be tuning into that. People that aren't necessarily Pistons fans. So hopefully. Yeah, hopefully these youngsters can give them a show, and I know we're probably not going to win, taking on Luka Doncic, but at least show the world what we could do, because all the basketball fans will be watching, I think.
And look at this. Throw this comment up here from Ryan.
Oh, they are though. They are them in Boston are absolute wagons.
He's saying the New Jersey Devils. They've reached wagon status right now. They're atop. Are they the top or the second right now? But they're atop their division, I believe. I've seen some banter within the belly up chats in the hockey chats going back and forth, and that's actually one of Ryan's side projects. You have to check out his show. He's got that New Jersey Devils shows. Again, we'll have him on. But yeah, talk a little hockey. With the New Jersey Devils. I know we don't talk a lot about the leagues in general, but is there a team, Zach, for you, because you're the hockey guy, that has surprised you this year?
I mean, the Devils are surprised. They went on that 13-game win streak. Then they lost a game, and now they're back on a 3-game win streak. So who knows? They might reach 13 games again. I don't know. Boston, I watched last night because they played the Lightning, and I just watch all the Lightning games locally. So Boston looks good. They like as good as you would always with the players that they have. They should always be this good, but they've been banged up in recent years. But they are like Boston's going to be a tough team to beat. And but the team that surprised me the most is Seattle Kraken. They are I think they're the 5th best record in the NHL. Sophomore season, they beat the Golden Knights a couple nights ago, which is like the two new kids on the block fighting each other.
I was saying speak of the Golden Knights because they had their early runs when they came in. So
yeah, exactly. So hockey's been fun this year. I think it'll straighten out a little bit more as we reach the halfway point. But no, early on it's been. I want to give Ryan his props there for throwing that in there because he's right. They are an absolute wagon.
Fun team to watch.
Yeah. But right, more fun than Boston. Boston's higher in the standings. The Devils are second. But I would watch a Devils game over watching a Bruins game.
There you go. You heard it from our Red Wing expert right there. It's Zach Mack saying that New Jersey Devils fun team to watch. But transitioning to another, I guess, league sport of a team not fun to watch this season. Let's talk a little bit. Were you able to watch the old Ohio State Buckeyes versus Michigan Wolverines?
Yeah, I was at the airport. So I was watching on my phone the whole time, but yeah, I watched the game.
Yeah, so that game, it kind of, nobody likes watching. There's not many people, Kevin, that like watching Boston win. And I think Zach has an article to prove something around those points. But either way, Zach, Kevin in our comments here, big Boston guy, also big Alabama guy. I think he just kind of chases those teams. But what do I know? No, he.
Yeah, you remember when I sunk Boston sports? I don't think they haven't won a chip since I.
No, and that's what I mean. I was okay with it. We had a resident Jordan from FanWagon or whatever. So, but anyways, let's talk a little bit about this Ohio State Michigan game. This is where I kind of transition out of the Detroit sports. I am a Buckeye fan. Zach is a Sparty, so there's no no allegiance, I guess, for him. I know you said you watched it. Overall, I mean, I feel like I feel like the game was kind of what I expected. I really thought Ohio State should have handedly won that game, especially without Corum running their running back. But basically, J.J. McCarthy, by no means, and I'm not coming on here to talk about they smacked us, and rightfully so. When I say us, I'm a Buckeye. They smacked us. I can't say anything, but that game plan, the coaching, I felt like we were very reserved. The way the game was, and then they just ran it right down our throats to ice it. But basically, I mean, 4 plays over 60 yards. Really, I mean, that's what it was.
You were roasting the DBs on Twitter during the game. I saw
it was horrible. I mean, this was the worst. I mean, you got Denzel Burke. I mean, you got some of the highly top recruits. You know, I cannot stand Ohio State secondary. It's been this way all season long. But basically, you know, I mean, J.J. McCarthy, I mean, this is what Detroit, this is what the Lions, this is what the Pistons, this is what Tigers do. They make a kid that makes his living and dinging and dunking, handing off the ball, look like a superstar, and just air it out left and right. So Ohio State got what they want, or I should say got what they want, got what they deserved. They got smacked. Michigan looked good, you know, rightfully so. They're in that 2 spot. Georgia's above them. I don't think Michigan, and this is not the spite in me, but I don't think Michigan is really going to make much noise in that. I think this is Georgia's national championship to kind of run with. USC did look good against Notre Dame the other night. They still had their issues. Caleb Williams looked really good. I felt like he was getting extra cocky that game. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens against Utah, because they already took a loss to Utah. But Ohio State looked like crap, played like crap, everything, the game plan, the DBs, CJ Stroud is just I've said it all year long. He's a talent, but he's go to the NFL. Happy for you, buddy. But I mean, it's just he's not a guy that I'm excited about. You know, Quinn Ewers, has looked good this year with Texas, but I mean, there's a logjam. We just kind of reload. It's kind of like Alabama and all those other top recruits. You know, it's one of those things where Bryce is going to leave, Stroud's going to leave, and both these teams are going to reload, and they're going to be up there. You know, this is different. This is probably the first time, and I don't know if Kevin's still watching, but I don't know the first time in how many years that Alabama or Ohio State is. Well, I guess probably goes back to the inception of the college football playoffs, anyways, that one of these teams aren't going to be in it. So,
and of course they're 5 and 6,
unless USC won. But what was your take on the little bit of time that you were able to watch the game? Were you being a Michigan State Spartan? Actually, where did you claim a dog in the fight, or did you really not care?
I mean, I tend to lean Michigan in this game. I took some classes at Michigan, so I have a little bit of allegiance there. But you know, I'm still a Spartan, so I don't get worked up about this game. I just like watching this game because it's such a fun game to watch. I respected that Michigan, because Ohio State shut Michigan's run down kind of early, and I respected that Michigan, like Ohio State basically said they're gonna have to beat us by passing, and Michigan was
I think that was the game.
All right,
yes,
yeah, and Michigan was like, all right, no problem. So I respected that they were able to do that, and I want to throw this comment back up from Kevin, because I do think that Harbaugh has a tendency to hold his hand, to not show his hand during the season, and he waits for this game, and he'll pull out stuff that I think like teams just don't have any film on, because he doesn't need to use it earlier in the season. Their run game is so strong that they can just run 40 to 50 times on Big Ten teams and eventually beat them. You know, and we've saw it a couple times this year with Michigan, where they were playing a close game at half with teams that they shouldn't have been close with, Rutgers, Illinois, stuff like this. But by the fourth quarter, it's the whole Marshawn Lynch thing, where if you run a motherfucker over and 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 over, they're just not going to want that.
But can we, I mean, and I know, again, I keep going back to this. I'm not spiteful by any means, but can we talk about a weirder person, a weirder head coach? Like, I just feel like everything about Harbaugh is just like a weird. Oh, yeah, I feel like his brother is like real chill. I don't know these guys.
Man,
but I feel like
I asked this to my brother the other day. Does Jim Harbaugh always have a chew-in? Because he's got like,
and it looks like he's like that sloppy chew that's just like running on his face.
Yeah, and there's no bone right here. He's always got that ball. I don't know what's going on with his jaw. I don't know. Mike
Either way, horrible game for Ohio State. Yes, Mike Leach is weirder, but I think Mike Leach almost plays into being weird. I think he like kind of loves that aspect of things. But I mean, the landscape of college football this upcoming year will be interesting. I even think, the old ball coach that was under Saban, what's his name, Kiffin. I think he's a goofball. It'll be interesting to see what Hugh Freeze. There's a lot of weird coaches, I guess, in general in college football. I don't think necessarily NFL's. Although I've watched a few things on Mike McDaniel's recently with the Dolphins. I think he's kind of goofy, but it almost goes back to like those really, really creative and talented artists. Like the people that do that kind of stuff are like really off or like really out there. Like they're really, really talented, really, really great, but like there's like something goofy.
Yeah, if you submerge yourself 100% into one thing, you're obviously going to be weird because you have missed time on common sense
like shelter with
your surroundings. Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, I just want to touch base. Obviously, being a Detroit sports show, again, my roots, college. You can blame my dad. I've been a Buckeye. Expected to win that game. Not what we thought. Heartbreaking, going in. I can't see USC losing to Utah again to let Ohio State slide in. But I don't know. I mean, they're right there. Kiffin, Kiffin's a guy, and then, and I know Kevin's still in our comments here. He'll love, Oregon. They're Bo Nix. I know he's got a lot to say about Bo Nix and stuff like that. But there's tons of talent that are definitely goofy people. But before we get into our little round table here, or really topics where we kind of pick one, kind of can be just general everything. I didn't get a chance to connect. We're going to talk a little personal stuff here. How was your holiday? Did you get a chance to go back? Did you guys did you fly into Michigan or?
We flew to Memphis for Thanksgiving. It was good, man. The food was good. Family was great. We went spending out at a little lake house over in Tennessee. So yeah, it was a good time, man. How was
Oh, you guys all met in Tennessee?
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. Well, actually, the lake house. The lake is actually Pickwick Lake. Kevin might even know about it because it's on the border of Alabama. But no, man, it was good, man. How was yours with the family? Did the kids behave and everything?
Yeah, we went to the families. Obviously, my family on my mom's side it's pretty big. We've got the youngest. Well, I shouldn't say my sister's got the youngest, and I got the two next youngest in between her kids. So they ran around. They have a good old time. For us, everyone drives like an hour to get there. We're like the odd ones out. It's like 3 hours. So it's like such a hassle. I mean, we love seeing our family, but it's like, go get there early. The game starts. You want to see kickoff. We said, okay, we're going to leave at this time because we had another Thanksgiving back home. So we're going to drive back. Well, it never works that way. We stayed longer. I finished the Lions game because I absolutely had to. Wasn't mad about it. Drove home. I always end up driving home, which actually my wife drove to about halfway because I was just tired. And usually I end up driving by myself. Everyone falls asleep. And it's like, okay, it's the most, miserable drive home. So it wasn't too bad. Like you said, food was good. It's always good to see the family. I just wish that the way things worked out, like Thanksgiving and Christmas were like broken up. Yeah. I feel like you go all this time and then like boom, boom, you're like travel mode for 2 months straight. And it's like, man, couldn't we have better planned this stuff like that? So
that might be a hot take. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that before, but I kind of like that. Like, and I feel like most people probably like them being close together, but I think I'm on your side where they should be broken up.
Or maybe we just need to make Easter like a bigger deal.
Yeah, damn pilgrims.
Cut it up. Yeah, we'll blame it on the pilgrims. There we go. So, but whatever. But anyways, we'll get into our roundtable here. There is something that I just love, and actually, this is great. Kevin's still in the comments here, an Alabama guy. So I'm a huge Shark Tank guy. I love watching Shark Tank. I love Mark Cuban. I just love all that. Months ago, I watched Shark Tank, and these guys came on with these big hats called it's like a big hat company. They pretty much take a ball cap and they put foam in it. And it's like you look like a bobblehead. And I thought, like, this is really cool. It's almost like the foam finger, at the games. And Cuban's like, dude, I'll go in, I'll sell these, I'll get the rights, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, Brian Robinson after the game, had a great game with Washington. He wore one in his locker, the running back for Washington, obviously the Alabama guy. And it's one that I think he knows the daughter of the owner, and he advertised it. And he advertised it in his locker, and it's just exploded since then. You have to look it up on Twitter if you haven't seen it. You can customize them. You can get your sports teams, but I think that's awesome. Like sports players that do that, I've always wanted to like say, hey, we want to send you a shirt. Wear it at your locker. I know, these guys being in the limelight. They gotta do their due diligence to make sure it's a reputable company, But yes, either way, I love the big hat. I don't even know what the name of the company is, but I love the company and what Brian Robinson did there for his friends.
I have not even heard of that. Don't even know what it is. I'm gonna look it up after the show. Big hat. That's what it is.
I don't think that's the company.
I'll look up Brian Robinson. I'll find it. All right, my roundtable goes to college basketball this year. I don't know if you've tuned into any of it early in the season, but what they're doing with all these tournaments and these invitationals early in the season, we got good teams playing other good teams.
They do it early, yeah. I think the Buckeyes are playing Duke right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got the Big Ten ACC Challenge going on right now, and I know we've had a couple of these in the past that were early in the season, but it was only a couple, and now they're running like I want to say it's been dozens. Maybe that might be exaggerating, but like you would never see Gonzaga playing any top 25 team until tournament time because of their baby ass conference. But
you don't see that in football. I think obviously basketball it's a longer season, but I do love matching these teams up early.
Yeah, because and here's the truth about basketball is the rankings don't matter preseason.
Yeah, early on it's like the kick of death.
Yeah, for the first month they don't matter. You might as well have these good teams playing each other because they're going to play each other in the tournament anyway. And that's why Gonzaga can't win. I think that's what Gonzaga learns. They can't win a national championship because they're playing baby teams all year. And so here they go. Played a close game against Michigan State. Michigan State lost, but then they lost to Kentucky. I think it's going to help them going forward. I'm by no means a Gonzaga fan, but I just like what college basketball is doing right now. There's a lot of watchable games early in the season, and I love it.
Yeah, I think that's one way they get you to draw it in. Obviously, this time of year, I was just gonna say I looked it up.
Is he lying, or is that actually? Is it called Noggin Boss?
Yeah, that's the company. It's called Noggin Boss, which is.
I feel like Kevin will give me something I don't want to Google at all. That's why.
No, yeah, that does sound like some kind of cheap porn or something like that. But maybe that's what we'll have to do. We'll have to do. Maybe we'll reach out to Noggin Boss, and we'll either way maybe we'll get a hat. We'll do a giveaway or something like that.
I'll do a full show with one on if we get one.
I was just saying, dude, we just look here and be like, cut the whole up. Like I don't think I just had it up. I doubt you'll be able to see it. But just for sake of things, dude, it's great. I doubt you'll be able to see it on the camera there, but you see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You see that?
I see what you mean about the bobblehead thing, yeah.
Yeah, so either way, it's a cool concept that a guy using his platform didn't have to say anything, he just wore it. But either way, that's really cool, especially a story like Brian Robinson, a guy that gets shot early on in the season, and now he's coming back to be the number one running back for Washington. But either way, Zach, I'm glad we got back together. Yeah, we text. We Zach and I do this because we enjoy it. We have fun with it. We're not like trying, podcasting, entertaining media. It's grueling. People that want to do it, there's a lot of time, effort, things that go on. Zach and I, we just text each other and say, hey, let's get on camera. So some people that watch the show are probably like, these guys suck, which, hey, man, whatever, cool. We're just having a good old time. It's a way to stay, connected, way to talk about things that we enjoy. But I've always appreciated Zach jumping on camera, especially with our schedule is always kind of being all over the place. One week I was sick, Zach was sick. I told him, I said, dude, I just love doing this. So I appreciate him being my wingman. Yes, there we go. Give it to Kevin. Give you the love you guys with the little heart right there. I never I know I'm not gonna be one of those
all of our viewers.
Yes,
all of our viewers told us they love us today.
So, but either way, Zach, man, I appreciate you jumping on. Hope you had a great time off break. Looking forward to the rest of the wing season. Obviously, we'll see what happens this weekend with Jacksonville with the Lions. But Zach, you started the show. I'll let you take us out of here.
Yeah, like you said, let's get a quick, because we like to do this, a quick score prediction for the Lions this weekend. I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
I'm gonna go 27-26 Lions winning on a blocked extra point.
Man, I don't know about that in depth, but I was going 28-24 Detroit.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence is playing good right now. Marvin Jones Jr. comes back to Detroit. It'll be nice to see that. Obviously, he was Stafford's boy for a little bit, but he's got a lot of ties. But either way, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that. I want to stay on the 30 route to hit another 30. I would love to see Jameson Williams play this week. There's a slight chance, but it doesn't sound like he's going to. But hopefully, we get Okudah back. Our defense will be a little more healthy. But yeah, looking forward to it. So we'll talk next week, and then obviously in a couple weeks we'll have Minnesota, and then we'll have the Jets. So we'll get Ryan back on here.
All right, cool. All right, folks. Well, you heard it. Thanks for joining. For those of you that are on the pod, thanks for listening. We both got Lions victory in the 20s, close game this weekend. We'll be right back here next week to recap how it goes, win or loss. Till then, take it easy and be safe.
Talk about 5 and 7.